appreciate the presence, awesome presence of God in this house. And I am thankful for what God is doing. There ain't nobody in this flesh can take the credit for it. God, as somebody says already, He raised up Pharaoh for the purpose of manifesting His power. But He raised us up to manifest His love.
There you go.
That's right. Continue showing the light to this lost and dying world. Amen. I appreciate being here tonight. I thank God for all of you that has come out, our friends. I thought about that phrase in that song that said, "In a fine family." Sometimes your family is not always those that you call fine.
Man, come on.
But I'm thankful for the family of Jesus Christ.
Hallelujah.
We have a fine family in Jesus. You believe that? Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. I'm going to take you tonight to a thought that God has given me for this service tonight. We're going back to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 17. Read the first 3 verses of that chapter. And I hope that I can give you this the way I feel it. This is the first time I have ever preached this message. I've preached about these characters, but I have found a lot of things that I have never heard before. I'll be 52 this year, and I have never heard some of the things that the Lord gave me in this tonight. 1 Samuel 17, verse 1, 2, and 3. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shochoh, which belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Shochoh and Azekah. And would somebody do me a favor and read? My eyes are blurred tonight. I can't see it.
In Ephesdammim, and Saul said, and Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines.
Verse 3.
And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side. And there was a valley between them.
Amen. The topic and thought for this tonight is the valley between them. The valley between them. Amen.
Amen.
We read these scriptures and we find out the Philistines have invaded the land of Judah. They have set up their campsite on one mountain of Shochoh, and between Shochoh and Azekah, in the land there of Ephesdammim, and the army of Israel was on the other side of this valley. And as I begin to think about this, in my early days used to do this a lot, but I went into meetings of these, and I looked at maps and tried to lay out as best as I could figure, as I looked at where Shochoh and Azekah was, that the Israel army was on the opposite side of that. And on the other side of that was the mountains of Gath, called Gath. And so the Bible says the Bible was set in array, which simply meant you had one army on one side ready to fight. You had the other army on the other side, but there was no fight going on. They were merely set up for a fight. And so as I begin to study this, I begin to look into these meanings, and I found out this, that Shochoh meant a hedge. Azekah meant dug over. So they invaded Judah and took Shochoh, which was the hedge, and Azekah, which meant they were dug over, they were covered up. And between this was Ephesdammim, which meant a blood boundary.
Bless him, Lord.
Praise God.
Come on.
Thank you, Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Praise God. And they were over in Gath, over on the mountains of Gath, which meant a wine press. Praise God.
Come on.
I've got something for you tonight. And I hope I don't want to go ahead and jump ahead and get excited about this, but there is something that God has given me for this church tonight. They were there, ready to fight, but because of what presented itself daily, nobody would go down to the valley between them.
Bless him, Lord.
Daily, the champion of the Philistines would come out and challenge. But no one would accept this challenge because the tallest person in Israel was nowhere close to the size of the champion of the Philistines. What is this roof? About 8 foot. This ceiling here is about 8 foot high. The champion that presented itself was another 18 or 19 inches above this ceiling.
Bless him, Lord. Come on.
So somebody that was 6'6", 6'7" was still doing this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Come on.
I can't reach his chin. I can't get close. His arms are longer than my body. So nobody wanted to go down into the valley. If I'd ask tonight who wants to be in the valley, nobody wants to be in the valley.
Bless him, Lord.
Because in the valley is considered to be a low place.
Come on.
It seems to be a place of depression, a place of discouragement, a place of trials. Nobody wants to be in that. We love what we call the mountaintop experience. We love to shout.
Amen.
We love to sing and rejoice. And as I begin to consider this, the Bible says that Jacob sent the boy, or not Jacob, but Jesse sent David down to check on the battle, see how it was going. David comes down. He sees what's been going on for days.
Bless him, Jesus.
Come on.
All right. Come on.
Church, this has been going on way too long.
Amen.
Come on. Come on, please. Come on. Amen.
We've been standing on the mountain, not getting to the other place where God wants us because we don't want to go in the valley.
That's right.
Oh, praise God.
Bless him, Jesus.
David comes down. He starts looking around and he starts checking on things. How's things going? Well, we've been up here for about a month now. I don't know, the Bible doesn't say for sure. I'm just going to give a paraphrase here. They've been over there for a month. Nobody's moved. They've sent a challenge, but we ain't got nobody that's willing to take and accept the challenge.
Bless the Lord.
Praise God. The Bible goes on there in verse 4, the next few verses, to tell us about the armor of Goliath. He said he had a coat of mail, which was the covering on him that weighed between 125 to 194 pounds. He carried that on his body as clothing. He had a sword, which the normal sword that a man would carry was about 2.5 to 4.5 pounds. His was a little better than 15 pounds.
Bless you, Lord. Hallelujah.
Praise God.
Come on.
He had a spear. The spear weighed between 17 and 23 pounds. This giant was not coming out to play games. But he had one purpose in mind, and that was bringing the people of God under bondage and subjection to the Philistines.
Come on.
David comes down and he begins to make conversation. One more thing, the weaver's beam. 2.5 inches in diameter. And the height of it varied. But you got to think somebody 9 feet 9 inches tall has got one somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 feet anyway. You can't picture him carrying a 6-foot spear. I can't. When it tells you a span, it's the point between the tip of your thumb to the tip of the finger. That's a span. And so whenever I begin to put all of this together, David comes down, and I have no doubt to tell you that he is the smallest person in camp.
Right.
I don't believe it's a question that everybody that was on the mountain of Gath there in the wine press that was being pressured were all taller, bigger, probably stronger than David was. But David comes down, and while he's there, the champion, the giant, makes his boast about how he defied the armies of the living God.
Bless you, Lord. Come on.
The Bible says this. David heard this. He asked a question, what shall be done to the man that defeats? What's going to happen to the man that takes this giant down, Brother Larry? They begin to tell him what the promise the king said. You'd have the king's daughter, you're going to have riches. List went on of things that was going to happen. David said, I'll fight him. I could imagine his brothers, the Bible says, they begin to tell him about how he needed to go on home, get out of there. That was a man's place to be.
Bless Lord.
Come on. This is a man's place. This ain't no place for no kid to be playing around. But it's time to let the kid play if the man's not going to do what he's called to do.
Come on.
Come on.
Praise God. The Bible says, I believe somebody was excited because they ran to Saul and said, Saul, we got somebody said he'd fight the giant. Well, bring him here, let's see him. Could you imagine the picture of Saul, how his jaw hit the ground when David comes through the tent and stands before him? I thought you said we had somebody to fight a giant. He said, if you're going to fight him, he said, here's what you need.
Bless you, Lord. Come on.
You need my shield. You need my helmet. You need my sword. I could imagine David, it's not written that he said this. But in my mind, I just can't help him thinking. He said, Saul, why do I need this? It ain't doing you no good. Come on, if this is what was needed, why ain't you down in the valley with him? Come on. Yeah, he's the king. He's the leader. There you go. And so what happens is, David said, no, he said, I can't use. I just imagine as he put that helmet on, it dropped over his eyes, and he had to do this and look underneath it. He said, I can't use this. I have not proved it.
Wow. Bless him, Lord.
How many times we try things that have not been proved?
Come on.
Only to find ourselves still where we should not be. We should have moved on from that mountain and down across the valley and cross to the next hill. And here we are still holding on to things that somebody else said we needed.
Come on.
Come on, you got to go with what works. David said, thy servant was out tending sheep. Oh no, we got a shepherd.
Come on.
Bless him, Lord.
And a bear came out and grabbed one of the sheep.
Yep.
And I slew the bear. A lion came out. He came and done the same thing. He said, I slew the lion.
Praise the Lord.
This uncircumcised Philistine, this person that is not part of the promises,
Come on.
Bless him, Lord.
this ungodly heathen person is no different than the lion or the bear.
Come on.
Amen. There's something else about this. David comes down out of the wine press and makes his way down into the valley. And along the valley was where the water was running. And beside the brook, he said he reached down and picked him up 5 smooth stones. What did it mean? It could have meant anything. Could have meant J-E-S-U-S. Could have meant F-A-I-T-H. Could have been that he had 4 more brothers. It don't matter what it meant. They was 5 smooth. 5 perfect. No sharp edge. You don't need sharp edge rocks.
Come on. Come on.
Bless him, Lord. Come on.
You just need the stone that the builders rejected.
Come on.
Well, hallelujah.
Bless him, Lord.
The Bible said that he picked up one of those, put it in his sling. Goliath is looking. Hey man, if you can just imagine someone standing 18 inches above the ceiling, looking down at a kid running. Hey man, they're in the valley towards him. Hey, am I a dog?
Bless him, Lord.
But he said, all right, if this is what you pick to be your fighter, your champion, hey man, I'm going to feed his flesh to the fowls of the air.
Come on.
David began to look. And I believe that while David was out there in the backside taking care of them sheep of his daddies, that he done what was called target practice.
Bless him, Lord.
He done got pretty good with slinging that little slingshot around and letting her go and hitting the target.
Amen.
The Bible said that Goliath had a target between his shoulders.
Bless him, Lord. Come on.
It was target practice.
Bless him, Lord. What is you?
What happened? David began to make a revelation unto the people of Israel. They did not realize they were serving a God, a real God, a true and living God, one that would make a way, one that would provide, one that would see through. One that didn't matter if you was in the valley or up on the mountain. Amen. All you got to do is realize who your God is to find out. Your God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you ask for.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
You come to me with a spear and a sword.
Hallelujah.
But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts.
Yeah.
Goliath was happy. He said, I'm going to feed your flesh to the fowls. David said, I'm going to feed your flesh and everything behind you.
Come on.
Somebody's got to have a vision of what can happen in the valley. Amen. You might be scared of what's standing down there, and it may cause you to not want to enter into the valley of the shadow of death. But I'm here to tell you that where every valley is, there's God. Where every mountain is, there's God. Where every trial is, there's God. He will make a bit of difference. You just got to know that you can make it through Jesus Christ. Amen.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Sometimes we think the valley because there's good reason why. I went through and I wrote down a lot of valleys. And I wrote down their meaning, and you'll be surprised to know some of this. Amen. But there was a valley of Shinar, which was a valley of hostility. We don't like that, do we?
Mom, brother.
There was the valley of Elah, which is the valley of nothingness. These are reasons why we wouldn't want to be in the valley. There was a valley of Achor, which was the valley of trouble. There was the valley of Kaziz, which was the valley that you were cut off. There was the valley of Bria, which was the valley of weeping. There was the valley of Rephaim, amen, which was the valley of giants. There was the valley of Siddim, which was slime pits. There was the valley of Hinnom, which was wailing. And there was the valley of Saboin, which was the valley of hyenas. Places you don't want to be at and reasons why. Amen. You don't want to feel like you're cut off. You don't want to feel like you don't have nothing.
Come on.
You don't want to feel like you're amongst a group of hyenas that could grip your flesh and destroy who you are. You don't want to be in a place where you're wailing and weeping and crying. You don't want to be in a place of trouble. You don't want to be in a place of hostility. Amen. That's the same as a carnal mind. Do you know that?
Come on.
The Bible said a carnal mind is enmity against God. Amen. A carnal mind. Carnal means hostility. It's a war zone. It's a place you don't want to be at. Amen. That's the reason why nobody is eager to go down in the valley. Amen. We're too worried about what's going to happen once we get down in the valley. But can I tell you, amen, there's some valleys, amen, that are places, amen, should make you realize, amen, that there is a God. There's the valley of Jericho, which is a place of fragrance. Amen. There's the valley of Lebanon, which is the White Mountain. Amen. There's the valley of Megiddo. It's a place of troops. Can I hear me tonight? Amen. There's a place, amen, the valley of Mizpah, which is a lookout. Oh, praise the Lamb of God. There is the valley of Ono, which is a strong place. I'm talking about the valleys tonight. Amen. Look here. Amen. The Bible says there's a valley of Azalon, which is a place, amen, of the deer or gazelle. Amen. There's the valley of Hebron, which is a place of alliance. Oh, hallelujah. Amen. You're afraid of the valley. Amen. But I found more valleys that were good for you than I did that were bad for you.
Come on. Hallelujah.
There's the valley of Jehoshaphat, which means Jehovah judges, and it's also known as the valley of decision. Amen. There's the valley of Jezreel, which is the place where God scatters. Amen. There's the valley of Zeraka, which is the valley of blessing. Come on. afraid of the valley. But listen to what these valleys are telling me. Amen. There are places, amen, in the low places where you should be discouraged and you should be depressed and you should feel like you're persecuted and don't have a friend in the world. But you're in a valley being blessed. You're in a valley being restored. You're amongst some troops of the army of the living. You got to know the valley is not a bad place to be. You got to realize there's a valley between you and deliverance. And the only way for deliverance is go in the valley.
Yeah!
There is the valley of Elah, which is where the Israel army and this was at. And it was a valley of oaks. What do we think of when we say oaks? Strong, mighty. We call them the mighty oaks.
Bless you, Lord.
Oh, praise the Lamb of God. Here they was in a wine press, and they could have been down there in the valley with power and strength.
Yeah.
Come on!
The Bible said there's another valley. It's called the valley of Shochoh. Amen, which is, amen, it is booths and resting places. There's a valley of Ephesdammim, which God opens up. There's a valley called Zephathah. Amen. It's a watchtower. There's the valley of Gadar, a wall. Amen. There's the valley of Cherishim. Amen. The valley of craftsmen. Amen. There's the valley of Chaza, which is the valley of vision.
Come on! Hallelujah!
Everybody wants the mountaintop experience, but don't you know in the valley is where you get your vision restored? Come on, that's where you really realize what God is capable of doing. That's where God reveals His strength, His power, and His might, and His grace. You can stay on the mountain, but you're going to miss the power in the valley. You're going to miss God's deliverance in the valley. You're going to watch and miss God's provision of how He's able to bring you through even the valley of the shadow of death. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me.
Praise God.
There was the valley of Solomon. I don't know if I said that right or not. That is the valley of the shadow of death. All of these valleys, there's many, many more valleys that give me hope and courage and strength and brings me to a point where I can realize more about what God really is for me.
Amen.
And I didn't get all the information of which mountain between there. I ain't got that much time to preach on that. But I want you to know this. In order for them to get off of the wine press and get over to the valley or the mountain of Shochoh, which was their hedge, they had to go down in the valley. Somebody had to make their mind up and say, who is this uncertain? Who somebody had to realize, amen, David was anointed. There was no way he was coming out with anything else but a victory because he had done been anointed to be the next king over the land of Israel. Our church, you've done been anointed. Amen. You've been anointed by the Holy Ghost. You've got this treasure in your earthen vessel. There's no way the devil can kill you. There's no way the enemy can destroy you. There's no way he can defeat you. You're anointed to be the overcomer through Jesus.
Yeah! Hallelujah!
That's right.
And we still overcome him by the name.
Right.
The only name hell recognizes. The only one that demons tremble.
Come on. Hallelujah.
I fear, but it's respect. I'm not afraid.
Come on.
Not anymore.
Come on.
I ain't afraid no more. That made peace. And I got peace with him. That means he's not against me. He's for me. And if God be for me, who can?
Come on. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I sat down with this and I was going over this. I was praying before we left the house. And I began to realize, I said, oh, thank you, Lord. I almost missed that. Again, Shochoh and a hedge. Azekah meant dug over. And a bloodline between them. But the land belonged to Judah. The land belonged to Judah. Brother Dave, what does Judah mean? Listen to what I almost missed, Brother Larry. I sat down today looking at this. They about lost their bloodline.
Come on, brother.
Come on. Come on.
They about lost their hedge.
Bless him, Lord. Come on.
Because the enemy had invaded their praise.
Come on.
Come on.
Yes.
I feel the Holy Ghost right now. Amen. What's the first thing the devil does when he comes against you and attacks you? Amen. He causes you to feel like you want to sit on your seat. You want to sit on your hands. You want to keep your mouth shut. You want to keep your feet still. You don't want to clap your hands. You don't want to sing. You don't want to test. He conquers your land. Praise. And here's what really is going on. Do you remember what Satan told God when he said, have you considered my servant Job?
Come on. Bless him.
Yes, I have. He said, but you've got a hedge around here
Come on.
that I can't get to.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
Your hedge that keeps separation between you and the enemy is your praise. Don't let the devil steal your praise. He's invading the land. Don't give him your praise. If there's one thing you do when you come to the house of the Lord, you need to enter his gate with praise and his court with thanksgiving. You need to know he's God. He's worthy to be praised. If he steals your praise, he steals your joy. If he steals your praise, he steals your victory. If he steals your praise, he steals your peace. That's why you're under pressure. You're still in the wine press.
Come on.
That's good.
You got to get down to the valley where the mighty oak is.
Come on, bro.
I seen a picture last Sunday in a message of Brother Preach. I want you to imagine on this wall right here, there's a mountain. Over here, there's another mountain. And it was a long, long journey to get from this mountain to that mountain.
Uh-huh.
This mountain was Mount Sinai. Nothing wrong with the mountain. God was there. But where we needed to get was this mountain, which was Calvary.
Bless him, Lord. Help him, Lord. Help him, Jesus.
There was a long wilderness in between the wilderness of sin.
Come on.
Couldn't touch that mountain, Sinai. He said it a while ago. Whoever touched the mountain would be put to death.
Bless him, Lord.
But this is the mountain you could touch. You just couldn't get there. The wilderness, the valley, was so long, it was endless. Sin is endless.
Amen. Bless him, Lord.
It's never satisfied.
That's right. Bless him, Jesus.
You can go as far as you want to go in this valley. But if you're here and you're lost tonight, there has been a bridge
Come on.
that has been built to reach from the mountain that couldn't be touched to the mountain that can be touched.
Amen. Come on. Hallelujah. Bless him,
The
Jesus.
devil just keeps on telling you there ain't no way out of this valley.
Come on. Come on.
I'm hopeless. This valley is now my home. I ain't never going to have a chance to get out of this valley. But yet I hear the words of Jesus. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. I will give you rest.
Yes, come on. Hallelujah.
All that come unto me, I will in no wise cast them out. Everybody likes verse John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever would believe upon him should not perish, but have everlasting life. But I like 17:2. Also, Brother Dewey. For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn it, but that the world through him might be saved. God has made a way. You don't have to go. You're in the valley right now. You're in the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley of decision. Joshua said, choose you this day whom you're going to serve. Your choice of whom you will serve depends on whether you come out of the valley or whether you stay in the valley and go lower. God has made a way to get out of the valley. But for those of you that are saved, do not fear the valley.
Come on.
The valley between the winepress and the bloodline.
Bless him, Lord. Come on.
Come on, there's one thing for sure. When God's people occupy their land, the devil sure can't pass and come across the bloodline.
Come on. Hallelujah.
You're always having that hedge built around you. There's a bloodline. He can't get to you because of the bloodline. It don't matter what he says. It don't matter what he tries. The blood prevails. Regardless of what he tries to come against you with, the blood prevails. The blood prevails.
Hallelujah.
If they would have never got down in the valley, they would have never conquered the giant. they would have never spoiled the tents. They would have never took back their freedom. And they would have never took back their praise. The valley between them. I don't care what day you wake up, there's a challenge.
Amen. Right.
There's an enemy crying out.
Uh-huh.
Trying to bring you into the fight. But see, we don't fight like the world fights.
That's right. Come on, brother.
They get on social media and they'll just blast you.
Come on.
And they'll get people to side with them. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And they'll jump in and they'll run. They don't even know who they're talking about. They did. They never said nothing about you.
That's right. Come on.
Jesus.
But because that's the enemy's tactic, a lot of people are pulled in to fight the devil's way. Come on. We don't fight the fight of words.
Come on.
We don't fight a physical fist fight. We don't jerk out hand grenades and shotguns and high-powered rifles. That's not the weapon of our warfare. That's not been proven. But let me tell you what has. Amen. Prayer has been proven. Fasting has been proven. Our singing has been proven. Praying before God has been proven. Praise has been proven. You want to know what? Somebody ought to praise him right now. Somebody ought to praise God right now. All of that is horrible and terrible. But let me tell you what is the worst part of hell. The worst part of hell is that you still remain and retain your conscience and your mind.
And forever while the flames are leaping around you and tormenting your flesh, your mind will be remembering a night when you had a chance to go to an altar and all you had to do was ask God for forgiveness and you wouldn't have to be in a place called hell. Oh, listen, amen, it ain't the preacher's fault. The preacher's told you about it tonight. Amen, it ain't the word. Amen, Jesus has given everybody a chance and an opportunity to repent. It's your choice. Choose you this day whom you're going to serve. As for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. Praise God. Praise God. Praise God. Many in the valley. Saints, don't fear the valley. Sinner, you better run to the light. Because as long as you fall into darkness, it only gets worse. Amen. I don't care what the devil tells you you're missing out on. What you're missing out on is hell, eternal hell. There ain't nothing in this world, brother David, worth me turning my life around and missing heaven for. If you're here tonight, I'm going to turn this back over to Brother David. Amen. But I want you to know there has been given to you this night a chance, an opportunity to turn your life around. God has showed you that the way has been made. All you got to do is come and ask God for his forgiveness. And the Bible said he's faithful and just to forgive us of all of our sins. God, help us to not fear the valley that's in between.